Okay, so just take a moment now just to allow yourself to arrive on your back, on the ground. And you can have the legs straight out in front of you if that feels good. You can have the knees bent. And if the lower back is a bit tight, you can take the lower legs a little bit further apart and just let the knees fall together. You might want to something like a pillow or a bolster underneath your knees again, which is nice on the lower back. And just allow yourself now just to sink into the ground. So if there's something under the head, or even if there's not, just letting the chin gently tuck into the chest. So you don't need to take it in so that you're really, there's no space underneath the chin. Just allow the chin to gently come into the neck so that that back of the neck is nice and long. And just allow yourself to arrive now, closing the eyes if that feels comfortable. If it doesn't, nice soft gaze. And just letting the body relax. So just letting the heaviness of your body be supported by the ground beneath you. And really start to feel that heaviness just sinking into the ground or sinking into the pillow or the props beneath you. And as you start to arrive, as you start to just let that heaviness, let gravity take its course, just think about taking 3 long, deep breaths into your body. And then you can exhale however you like. So if you want to exhale with a sigh, you can do that. If you want to exhale with a deep and long, controlled exhalation from the mouth, you can do that. Or if you just want to exhale from the nose, just allow that to release. And you're just thinking about letting all of the tension release from the back of your body. And then just being aware of your breath. So being aware of the breath moving in and out of your body. Start to become aware of the breath, first of all, as it moves in through your body, through the nostrils, because we'll try to breathe in through the nose, feeling the air on the inside of the nose. And then just following that journey of the breath, wherever it's going. So feeling the breath on the back of the nasal passage moving into the throat. And then following the breath into the upper chest. And that might be where it falls today. Or that breath might move a little bit lower down into the lower ribs or the mid ribs or the side ribs. Maybe the breath moves a bit lower into the diaphragm or the belly. So you're just following that inhalation wherever it's going. And just start to be aware of if that inhalation is just stopping in the top area of the body, in the chest area. Just start to think about trying to send that breath a little bit lower. So if it's holding up in our chest, in our upper chest, that usually means we're a little bit stressed, a little bit anxious. So just start to send that breath a little bit lower. Take it maybe down into the lower ribs. Try not to push everything, keep everything soft. And you might be able to send it into the diaphragm, so the upper abdomen. So just think about taking that breath in, just watching its journey from the nostrils down to however deep you can take it into the body. And at this stage, you might want to place one hand on your upper chest, and you might want to place one hand either on your belly or on your upper abdomen, just so that you can feel that breath moving in and out of your body, so you feel nice and connected with the breath. Just a few more rounds of breath now as you connect with that inhalation, with the journey of the inhalation from the nostrils, through the throat, down into the chest, and then somewhere in the abdomen. And so as you're following the journey of this inhalation, just think about where this breath is creating space for you. So it'll probably be, and I don't want to tell you where it's going to be, but just think about where you might be finding some space as you inhale. And it could well be in the upper body, just because that's where most of this movement is taking place. You might feel some space that's being created in the upper chest, in the shoulders, in the throat. You might feel space being created in your belly, in your abdomen. You might take your awareness a little bit lower and find space being created in the area around the hips and the pelvis. Just start to think about where you can really feel that space created with the inhalation. And then we're going to follow the breath now on its outward journey as we exhale. So we're starting from that point wherever you've breathed into, and you might have breathed into the upper belly or the lower belly. It still might be somewhere in the chest, hopefully the lower chest, not so much the upper chest. I'm hoping we've taken it a little bit deeper. And we're just going to follow that breath on its exhalation. So just being aware of, as you come to the very top of your inhalation, that split second when you're neither inhaling or exhaling, and then follow that exhalation. Follow the breath back out through the lungs, out through the throat, and out through the nose or maybe the mouth. So without losing the quality of that nice deep inhalation, without forcing anything, just following the exhalation. Again, maybe the hand is on the chest, on the belly. Maybe you can feel that exhalation coming out through the throat, the nostrils. Just following that exhalation, following the journey of the exhalation. And then just starting to be aware of those changes in the physical self as you exhale. So that inhalation may have created space. It may have created some kind of opening or some kind of energy. But with that exhalation, just notice maybe where you find a bit of release. And this might be a little bit more around the rest of the body, not just in the torso area. So as you exhale, maybe you're releasing from your facial area, letting things be soft. Maybe you're releasing from the shoulders, from the chest, from the hips. Just being aware of the exhalation, allowing you to soften and move into the space that you might have created with your inhalation. Just taking a couple more exhalations or concentrating on the exhalation with the breath. And then allowing your hands now to come next to you. You might want to keep them on the belly, but if you let them come next to you, that's fine as well. And then just being aware of your body and seeing if you've just allowed the body to kind of release any tension that it was holding on to before you concentrated on that breath, before you concentrated on taking in a deep breath, creating space, creating openness, and as you let go of that breath, creating release and softness. So just being equally aware of the breath and the release of the body, just for a few more rounds of breath. And just allow that breath to stay soft now as you take the awareness up to just observe your mind for a moment. And this feels quite important right now, just to take a moment to check in with what's happening for you mentally. So just be aware of those logistics that happen in the mind, the to-do lists, the moves with the mind into the future or thinking about the past. Allow yourself to, for a moment, just to let the mind move as it needs to, without getting involved in the thought patterns, just observe. And you might want to take that a little bit deeper and just be aware of any emotions you might be feeling. And try not to associate those emotions with anything that's good or bad. Just recognize those emotions. Recognize anything that feels happy and uplifting. Recognize if you're a bit frustrated. Recognize those emotions that you might not usually have. Allow yourself to be truly connected with where you are again today. So just moving the awareness away from what's happening for you mentally, emotionally, bringing the awareness now back to your breath, just back to allowing that body to just release as you exhale and bringing in that fresh energy as you inhale. And again, try to retain that softness. So try not to push any inhalations or exhalations. Just try to retain a nice deep and long inhalation and exhalation without pushing anything too hard. And then just starting to be aware of your physical body again. Be aware of the weight of your body on the ground beneath you. Just being aware of any sensations in your body. Just take a moment now to let those places where we still like to hold on to that tension, let them release. And that's usually the shoulders, the face, give it a bit of a wiggle if you need to. Maybe the hips, maybe just send the knees very, very slightly from left to right. And then just coming to stillness. So just making sure that that spine is still nice and lengthened, the back of the neck is lengthened. And just make sure that the back of the hips are connected with the ground. Now you might want to bend the knees now. In fact, I would say, yeah, just bend the knees now, hands coming next to you. And just really feel that lovely connection with the back of your body and the ground. So just taking everything really nice and slowly today and moving how feels best for you. So we're going to bring the right knee in towards us to start with, and just taking it in tight into the torso, into kind of the center line of the body, making sure that the chin doesn't jut up towards the ceiling. Just releasing that left hand. And as we do, we're just going to take the right knee over towards the right armpit. So you're kind of coming into a wide leg tuck on that right side. Try not to lift off the back of your left hip. And then bringing that knee back to center. So just take a hold around the back of your right thigh and center the sole of the foot up to the ceiling. So we're not straightening the leg yet. The leg is bent. Sole of the foot goes up to the ceiling. And we're just going to take some rotations of your ankle now. So you're just flexing and pointing the foot as you move in circles in one direction. And then just taking that in the other direction. And then coming to stillness. So just making sure that the back of the body's connected still. We're going to start to straighten that leg, and we're going to flex the foot so you can feel a nice stretch in the back of the hamstring. So pushing into the heel, just send that foot up towards the ceiling. And you know what? It doesn't matter if the leg's bent. Just find that stretch wherever it is. Just taking the foot up towards the ceiling. And if you can, take the left hand on the floor, trying to keep the back of the body in connection with the floor, holding on to either the right thigh or the right lower leg, and we're just letting the leg come out to the right side. So try not to kind of fall over to the right side. You're still on your back. It doesn't matter if you only come over to the side, just an inch, just opening that leg up. Nice big stretch. And then coming all the way back to center, we're going to bend the knee again and come into a figure of four. So we're taking that right ankle just above the left knee. Let's take the arms out nice and wide and just have a little rock from side to side. So not too much, just a little rock from side to side. I'm just going to move over so you can see this a little bit clearer. So those of you with lower back issues, just be careful here. You might want to remove the leg, but we'll come to figure of four to start with. Have a little rock. Just sort of see if you can open up that hip a little bit more from the right hip. And then we're just going to take the leg over towards the left side. So you're just going to take a little movement over towards the left and release that foot. Now, if there's an issue with the lower back, just release both feet and let the knees fall over and come to your usual supine twist. You might want to look over your right armpit. Just holding it here, a few breaths. Try to let everything release here. I'm particularly stiff on this side, so it's quite an intense stretch here. So if it's too much, again, like I said, knees together and just let them fall to the side. So we're going to come back to center now. Take both knees in towards you. And then just releasing them both down to the ground. So both knees are bent. Just find yourself in that nice central position. And we're taking the left knee in towards us, first of all. So just taking a nice big hug. Knee comes in towards you. Make sure that chin doesn't jut up to the ceiling. Right arm on the floor, taking that left knee towards your left armpit. So you're opening up the hips. So that knee's coming back to center. Keeping the knee bent, we're just going to center the foot up towards the ceiling. So you're kind of bringing that knee, that upper leg still tucked in towards you, left foot up towards the ceiling, take some circles with that ankle, flexing and pointing the foot, really moving into that foot in one direction and then the other. Lovely. And then we're flexing that foot again and just starting to lengthen the leg. So finding stretch in the back of the left leg. So that knee might not be fully straight. You can hold yourself behind the leg. Again, let everything else kind of just sink with gravity. You're not pushing anything else, just feel a lovely stretch down the back of that left leg. And then bringing that knee back in towards you. And all of this movement now comes from the hip as we take ourselves into figure of four. So that left ankle is just above the right knee. Take a few little movements from side to side. You might want to bring that right heel a little bit closer into your right buttock. And you might just want to open up a little bit more. No pressure on the knee, but just into that thigh, just releasing from that thigh. Maybe a little move from side to side, just finding the space you've got in your hips. And then depending how you're feeling, and it might be different on this side, you can just cross the legs a little bit more and let them fall over to the right side. So the foot can come onto the floor. If it's too much, just bending both knees without crossing and letting them come to the side. You might want to take the nose to look over the opposite shoulder. Nice stretch here. So wherever you are here, just sending the breath again where you need it, sending deep breaths into places that might feel a bit tight or tense. Now, we don't want any discomfort, but just if you feel that a bit more space is required, you're sending your breath there. And with that exhalation, kind of let yourself release into it. Kind of enjoy moving into that extra space you've created. So just being careful with the lower back. We're coming back onto our backs again. Take the knees back in towards you. We're just going to move a little bit with a dynamic bridge, just to kind of move with our breath again. So really focusing on the breath, creating energy as it moves into the body and releasing, softening as it moves out. So let's just come into a nice comfortable position, feet about hip distance apart, knees about hip distance apart, and we're just going to use the breath. So planting those feet firmly on the floor, and those of you who don't want to come into full bridge, just maybe popping something quite big underneath the lower back, and you just come into bridge, supported bridge, and breathing here. Otherwise, we're going to move with about 5 breaths. So as we inhale, we're going to push the lower back into the floor, lift the hips, keep the knees over the ankles, right up onto those shoulder blades. And as we exhale, we're going to release. And see if you can just roll all the way down the spine as you release. So let's take another one of those. Move with your own breath, inhaling. You might want to lift the pelvic floor as you come off the floor as well. So lifting that Mula Bandha. Keep the knees over the ankles if it feels okay. Feel as though you're pushing your knees to the front of your mat. So if the shoulders are feeling a little bit stiff, you might want to include them now. I'm not sure if I've got room, but as I inhale and I lift up my hips, I can take my arms overhead. So I'm opening up my shoulders. Exhale, releasing. Just taking 2 more of these if you're moving, and maybe 3 more deep breaths if you're in a static supported bridge. Lifting the pelvic floor as well, if that feels comfortable for you as you lift those hips. And then releasing all the way down to the floor. One more time, we're just taking the knees in towards the chest. You might want to take those knees wide and the toes together. So you might want to take the knees towards the armpits. Maybe have a little rock from side to side here. And then bring in the knees together, release the feet to the floor and just come over onto one side, just protecting your neck. Just allow yourself to settle on one side. Take a couple of breaths. So we're almost going to come up almost like a wave. So we're going to use the strength of our hands to bring us up, pushing into your sit bones. Head and neck can come up last of all. And then just allowing yourself to a comfortable seat. So you might have the legs in front of you. The legs might be crossed. Wherever is comfortable for you. But wherever we are, just making sure that we're not rounding the back. We're kind of lifting up through the sit bones, sitting up nice and straight, and just taking a moment to let yourself arrive. You might want to close the eyes and just again take the awareness to the face. Let that face be soft, let the forehead be soft, let the shoulders be soft. And allow the sit bones to completely connect with the ground. Let's just take the hands down next to us, so fingers onto the mat. And when you've got a deep inhalation, really fill those lungs up as you take the arms all the way overhead. And we're just going to interlace them now and just bring them behind the head. So just taking them into the nape of the neck or the top of the neck. And just let your hands hold your head for a moment. Try not to stick your bottom out, so try to keep a neutral pelvis here. Elbows are nice and wide, taking a deep breath in. And then exhale, we're rounding the back, chin comes to chest, and you're sending the back of your body to the back of the room, opening up the back of your shoulder blade. On a deep inhalation, coming all the way back up again. And exhaling, rounding your back again. And as you round your back, just really pull the belly button back towards the spine. Take the elbows together. Really open the back of your body. So as we inhale next time, we're going to even create a little bit more of a back bend, a real opening in the front of the body. So take those elbows wide, open the chest, maybe even look up. Last time, so taking it a little bit deeper, elbows together, rounding through the spine. Maybe have a wiggle down here. And then finally coming all the way back up again. So we're really opening those elbows, sending the shoulder blades together. Let's take a little twist here with the hands behind the head over to the right side. So just take it really gently and don't twist through the lower half of the body. It's kind of from the diaphragm upwards, into the shoulders, into the chest, into the kind of, shoulder area really. Just over to the right side, just nice and gently. Try and keep those elbows open. And then coming slowly back to center. And don't push anything here, just move with what feels good. Just taking it to the other side. And then coming back to center. And just take a moment now just to take those hands, and we like this one, hands on the head, fingertips onto the scalp, just giving yourself a little scalp massage. So just closing the eyes, just taking the fingers wherever you might feel tension. Maybe it's in the temples, in the front of the forehead. And then coming back to stillness. Just take those arms back overhead again And we're going to bring the hands on the floor in front of us. We're going to send the elbows wide so the chest is open. And we're just going to take some movements from side to side. So over to the right side and back to center. So we're staying open in the chest. We're just bending those elbows almost like a crab and sending ourselves over to the left side. Back to center. And if you need a bit of height here, take a pillow in front of you. If the hips just a little bit stiff, you can take a pillow in front of you and just doing the same thing. Try to stay open in the chest. Just maybe a couple more on each side. And then coming back to center. Just take those arms back in towards you. I'm going to take a little baby back bend. So we're going to inhale the arms overhead. Nice deep breath in. Opening the chest, and then take those arms behind you and we're interlacing them. You might want to look up here. Send the hands away from the bottom. Chin to chest. And then you might want to look forward. And you might want to take a little fold forwards. And we're holding it here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lovely. Reaching back up through the front of your body. Give those shoulders a little roll. So in your own time, just rolling the shoulders. And taking them back the other way. And just making sure that neck's nice and relaxed. So if you need to take a few neck stretches, if you need a little bit of support, you can. And we're going to come onto all fours now. So if you want to pop a blanket underneath your knees, you can. Don't really need any more props around you at this stage. So yeah, if you need a blanket, just popping that underneath the knees, coming onto all fours. So just let yourself arrive on all fours now. Nice wide fingers. Knees are underneath the hips and your shoulders are nice and broad. If you want to stretch those toes a bit, you can keep the toes tucked under, otherwise releasing the toes. And let's move with the breath now. So again, just choosing how you want to breathe. Usually I'll say inhale, bottom up, belly to the floor, look up. So as you extend the spine, you're inhaling. And as you round the back, as you flex the spine, as you tuck the chin, you're exhaling. But you might find that you just might want to move things a little bit deeper. So you might want to maybe exhale as you come up into your cow. And you might want to inhale as you take it back into cat. Close the eyes and just let your body, your breath guide you. So the breath leads. Let the body work with the breath. So when we've taken a few of these cat-cows along the center line of the body, just going to incorporate the arms into this. So you might want to come back to a neutral spine. And we're just going to start to inhale, taking that right arm all the way back. And as you take it back, hips can come to heels. And as you take it forward, you bring your body forward and you reach as far forward as you can. And you inhale as you take the arm overhead. Take the hip and then bottom towards the hips. And you reach forward. Reaching into the fingertips. Take it all the way up to the top, and let's take that the other way. So reaching that, doesn't matter if it's right or left, first of all. You're kind of following the arm, so the hips are following the arm. You're taking the hips back to the heels, reaching up. Just a couple more of these. Moving into the shoulders as you reach forwards. Taking the bottom back to the hips as you reach backwards. And then coming all the way up. We're up on our knees now. We're opening the chest towards the right side. And then we're just going to sweep that right arm under the left. So we're not going to release yet. We're just going to take the shoulder towards the floor. And then inhale, coming all the way back up again. Opening up. And then exhale, take that right arm underneath the left. Come onto the side of your arm. So you might want to now take that left arm forwards. Or if you want a bit more of a twist, taking the left arm behind you, and you can hold on to the back of the right hip. So try to let yourself relax here into this twist. For 1, keep breathing. Breathe where you need that space. 2, 3, 4, 5. If that left arm is behind you on the hip, bring it back under the shoulder. If it's reaching out in front of you, back under the left shoulder, coming all the way back up. Take a couple of cat-cows again. And then on the other side, so whichever side you worked on, just move with the other side. We'll just start to move into those big circles. So taking the arm back, reaching forwards. Taking the arm back. It might feel different on this side. Reaching forwards. One more of these all the way back. And as you reach forwards, you're kind of taking yourself into your shoulders. Arm comes overhead. And then we'll take that back the other way. So forwards first, sorry. And then it goes back. Reaching forwards, really reach into the fingertips, all the way back. Into the fingertips. And then taking it all the way overhead. Let's take one swoop as we take a twist now to the right side. So we're not going to release yet, just taking one just to see what that twist is like. Inhaling back up. And then taking that arm underneath the right arm. Either stretching the right arm in front of you or take it behind you. Breathing here. Taking those breaths to where you need it most. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release that right hand back onto the floor. Coming up onto all fours again. Just take another couple of cat-cows. And then just let yourself come to stillness. So we're going to come up to standing. So I just want you to either just come to a nice comfortable seat, kneeling, or if that's too much on the front of the thighs, you can just come here just to let everything settle. Give your shoulders a roll, give your head a roll. And let's come up to standing when you're ready. So you might want to take your pillow or bolster or a bit of support in front of you. So we want to take some nice big stretches now. So you can take the feet quite close together if you want to, or you can have them at hip distance apart depending on how you feel. We're going to lift the toes nice and high and then replant them on the floor so the feet are really connected with the floor. And this might send your bottom back a little bit. So I just want you to tuck your bottom forward. So just pull your pelvis forward so it's nice and neutral. Nice strong legs. Arms are next to you, just lengthening through your spine, shoulders relaxed. We're going to inhale the arms all the way overhead. Take a nice stretch up and then over to the right side. Keep both feet connected with the floor. You might just come a couple of inches over, but just keep reaching into those fingertips. You might be able to take it a little bit deeper in this lateral bend. So let's come up to center, reaching up. And then over to the other side. Coming back to center. Take the arms wide, interlacing them behind you and just pulling them away from you. So again, looking up towards the ceiling, and then bring the chin to the chest. Releasing your arms and just bring the head back to normal. Again, a couple of rolls of the shoulder. Let's move into a nice forward fold. So again, you might want a chair here, so you've got a little bit more support. Some people might want to take the wall rather than taking a forward fold, just depending on how your back feels. So we want length in the spine, not too bothered about having super straight legs. So let's take a big deep breath in. We're going to take the arms overhead. If you're going towards the floor, reach forwards, pull the belly in, bend the knees a bit, and just bring the hands onto the floor, onto a prop. Crown of the head goes towards the floor. If you're against the wall, you're just coming against the wall, bend the knees. Just take a couple of breaths wherever you are. Remember, you're thinking about length in the spine, so the inhalation will lengthen your spine, and the exhalation, maybe you'll flex a bit deeper. So we're going to come to a flat back now. So we're going to bend the knees if we have to. Hands can come on the shins or on the bolster, and we're lengthening forwards. Relax the shoulders. Suck the belly in. Plant those feet on the floor and bend your knees. Let's take the arms all the way overhead. So you'll really be kind of taking the weight back into your hips. Feet equally connected with the ground. Try to keep the knees over the feet if you can. Reaching up. Should we take a little twist here? So let's take the hands together, nice and open in the chest. We're going to twist to the right side. So some of you will be up here. Some of you might take it a bit lower and just take that left elbow over the right knee. Have a look at the knees, make sure they're parallel. Coming back to center. Let's inhale, take the arms overhead. We're going for a fold again. So reach up, lift up, exhale, folding forwards. Nice and controlled, crown of the head to the floor. Inhaling, we're coming up to a flat back. And then we're going to bend those knees. Take yourself into your chair pose again. Nice and strong in those thighs. Reach up. Hands come together. Down to heart center. Let's twist to the other side. Remember, twisting's coming from here, not the lower back. So some of you might be up here, some might be taking it a bit lower. If twisting's too much today, just stay here. For 2, 3, 4, 5. Lovely. Inhaling, coming back to center. Let's take the arms all the way overhead. Full body stretch, coming onto tiptoes. Push the hips forwards. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lovely. Release the hands. We're taking them onto the hips. Take the legs wide. So you might be coming to the side now. So we're going to do warrior 2 and trikonasana triangle. But first of all, we're coming into goddess to open the hips a little bit. So feet should be at 10 to 2. Hands can come on the hips. Let's take the arms all the way overhead. Nice big stretch. You might want to come onto tiptoes as you take the arms overhead. And then you might want to release the heels. You might want to stay on the tiptoes as you find yourself in your goddess. So just thinking about those thighs now, maybe have a bit of a wiggle from side to side just to get the movement there. And just think about taking the thighs, pushing the thighs backwards. I'm going to take a stretch from side to side now. So let's take a stretch up and over to the right side. Stay open in the chest again. And the stretch might just be a little one, it doesn't matter. Back to center and up and over to the left. And back to center. Let's straighten the legs. So arms are coming up to shoulder height. So let's go to the right side first of all. So the right toes are going to face towards the front of my mat. And the left toes are going to face towards the side of the mat. So towards where the hips are. This is a hip opener. We're going to bend that front knee, stack it over the ankle. And lift through the spine. If you can take it a bit deeper, you can just straighten the legs and just creep those front toes forwards a little bit further. Bending into your warrior 2. So look over the front fingertips. If you want an extra stretch, you might come onto tiptoe on that front foot. Releasing it with control. Keep that knee over, that front knee over your ankle. One more of those. And straightening the leg. Trikonasana. So some of you will take that back hand onto the hip. Some of you will keep both arms nice and lengthened. Don't lock out the front knee. We're going to reach forwards, create a little bit of space. Hand can come on the thigh. Some of you might take it lower. I want you to think about opening up towards the ceiling. That other hand can be on your hip if you like, or you can send it overhead. Keep thinking about pushing that back heel into the back hip. For 1, keep lengthening through your sternum. 2, 3, the core is engaged. 4, 5, lovely, coming all the way up again. Let's take that to the other side. So we're taking that right toe towards the side of the mat, front toe towards wherever the front is. Take a deep breath in, quite strong in the arms here, and then rebend that front knee. Staying open in your chest. And let's lift that front heel, if you want to, 3 times with the breath. 1, inhale, exhale, release. Do it with control so you can really feel the lower leg working. 2, and 3. Coming into Trikonasana, straighten that front leg, don't lock it out. Create lift and length. Arm can come on the thigh and the other arm can come onto the hip, or you can take it a little bit deeper. Reaching up, looking up. Hold it here, push that back hip right down into the back heel, so you're really protecting your lower back, and lift. Think about that core working. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lovely. Inhale, reach forwards, come up. Let's take one last goddess now. So feet coming to 10 to 2 again. Taking a nice lift up. Those of you who want to can come onto tiptoes again. Hands together. And you might want to come into goddess on tiptoes or releasing those heels to the floor. Keep lengthening through your spine. Relax your shoulders. For 1, 2, keep breathing. 3, 4, 5, lovely. Straighten your legs. Bring your arms overhead once more. And then down to the heart center. Bring both feet together. We'll try a little balance before we come back down onto the floor. No pressure at all. Let's go through maybe 3 little preliminary balances and then maybe come into tree. So we'll make sure our feet are connected with the floor and our legs are strong. Hips are pushed forward. So yeah, pelvis is neutral rather than hips pushed forward. Nice long spine. And remember to engage that core. Hands can come on hips or at heart center. We'll balance on the left leg to start with. So we'll take the weight over onto the left leg. Find a drishti, that's somewhere to focus on. Keep nice and strong in your torso. And first of all, just bring the right knee in front of you. This might be enough. You might want to straighten it out and point the toe. It's quite strong. 2, 3, 4, 5. Lovely. Rebend the leg. Find wherever your tree is today. It might be on the lower leg. You might want to take it to the upper leg. Depends how the balance is feeling. Hands may be here. You might want to take them all the way overhead. If the shoulders are a bit stiff, keep the arms apart. If the shoulders are feeling okay, you might want to bring them together. Let's take 5 breaths here. Let your shoulders relax. Take the hands wide again onto the hips. We're going to bring that knee forwards, maybe straighten the leg, and release to the floor. Lovely. Have a little bit of a move around, give a bit of a shake of the legs. So if we set ourselves up properly, that balance is a lot easier. So let's do that again. Feet connected. It might be different on this side. I know it is for me. So feet connected with the floor, legs are strong. Pelvis is neutral, spine's long, and that core is engaged. We're nice and relaxed in the upper body. And we're not locking the knee out, remember. There's a little bit of give in the knee because that will help us to maintain that balance. So taking the weight now, find a drishti. Weight's going onto the other leg, the right leg. So taking the left leg in front of you and straighten it out. Maybe for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can we find tree from here? Doesn't matter if the toes are on the floor. Keep that tailbone down towards the floor, keep the core engaged. Either the arms can come here, or we can take them overhead, apart, or together for 5 breaths. Shoulders relaxed, face is soft. Doesn't matter if you wobble, doesn't matter if you move. Lovely. You can bring the hands back, bring that knee back in front of you, maybe straighten it out and release to the floor. Give yourself a little bit of a movement in circles. And let's take a full body stretch before we come down onto the floor. So to try the balance again, you can take the toes together, heels slightly apart, spread those feet wide. Otherwise, feet come to hip distance apart. Let's inhale, take the arms all the way overhead. Might want to take the palms together, might not. And lifting up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lower the heels, not completely. Hands come in front of you, just bending those knees now. So we're in kind of a tiptoe chair for 1, 2, 3. Keep breathing. 4, 5. Lovely. Straighten the legs. Hands come onto the hips. Shake yourself around. Have a stretch. Do whatever you need to do. And let's come back down onto the floor. So we're just going to take a little forward fold before we move back down onto our backs. So you can, if you want to, have this forward fold where you're nice and supported. You can take a pillow or a bolster over the legs if the lower back's a bit tight. You can even have it in between the legs if you want to take it quite gently and just use a bit of support. Or if the hamstrings are tight, just taking that bolster underneath the legs. So we're going to kind of melt down through the spine. So don't worry too much about lifting and lengthening. Have a bit of a wiggle, find where it's comfortable, and just start to let yourself kind of melt down through your spine and let everything release. Let the forehead release, let the shoulders release. And take the awareness back to the breath as you arrive. So you might be holding the head, supporting it, but you're kind of letting everything release, taking the awareness back to the breath, letting the breath return to its normal rhythm, just letting everything release. And if you feel as though there's tightness or tension anywhere, we want to find that softness. So give yourself a wiggle, maybe screw the area of your body up so you know what real tension feels like, and then let it release. And we're kind of all doing this in this fold, just so we can really take the awareness back inside to where we are. And then let's just roll up that spine again, coming back up to seated. Maybe give those shoulders a roll. And we're coming back down onto our backs for our final Shavasana. So again, you might want to find your pillow. If you want to put a sweater on now, or socks, or a blanket over you, you can do so. But you're just going to roll back down your spine. If you don't have anything to go under the knees and the lower back's a bit tight, take those feet out to mat distance, take the knees together, and just let yourself relax. Take 3 deep breaths in here, and as you exhale again, just let yourself kind of release into the space that you might have created with the movement. And then allow yourself to just start to find that stillness. Just starting to find that place where you can connect with yourself again in the present moment. So with all of the stuff going on externally, we just kind of want to leave that behind and just take the awareness inside so we can really look and see where we are, so we can connect with ourselves again. Sometimes all of these emotions, these changes that we're going through, they can make us lose that connection we have with ourselves. We might behave in different ways, making ourselves having lost that connection. So just that moment of stillness and just being present with who we are and where we are. Try not to let the mind wander out into the future or zip into the past. Keep it as present as you can in your stillness and wherever you are today. Just allow yourself to just explore that physically, mentally, emotionally. Whatever comes into the mind, as long as it's associated with where you are now, just allow yourself to look at that, to view that. Just allow the silence and the stillness of your Shavasana to belong to you and you alone. That's possible. And wherever the mind is now, it might be on where you are mentally or your emotions, and it might be on the physical sensations that you have within your body. Just be aware of taking it back to your breath now, so you can be really present. Maybe lengthening your breath. Maybe focusing on the inhalation if you want to take some fresh, new energy into your body. Maybe focusing on a few exhalations if you kind of know you've got stuff to release. Make those exhalations complete and those inhalations really opening into the heart center. And then allow the breath to just return to its natural rhythm. And just start to be aware of the sensations in your body. You start to be aware of any feelings of energy moving in the body, or maybe the body feels a bit different. It might feel a bit more open. It might not. You might feel, oh, that's still a bit stiff. But whatever you need to do, just take some movements, take some rolls of the shoulders or some moves of the head or some moves into the hands and the feet, or maybe a big stretch, whatever feels good for you. And you can stay in your Shavasana if you so wish to close your practice, or you can bend your knees, just take a little roll over to your side. And again, almost like that wave, like we did at the beginning, you might just bring yourself up to seated. Take a moment in seated. Maybe with the hands on the knees or the lap. Maybe if you want to connect with that energy that sometimes we create in our practice, or some of us believe we create in our practice, you might take the palms to your heart center and you can feel that warmth of the energy you've created. And to close your practice, you might want to rub the hands together. And you might want to place them somewhere you need that energy today, a chakra, or your mind, somewhere physical. And you can close your practice however you wish. Thank you very much for joining me, everyone. I hope that was a nice relaxing session for Monday evening, and I hope to see you all soon. Preferably, it would be great in person, but whenever that happens, it does. So stay safe.